Seventh chord cycles. So here you're going to take the root of the chord and you're going to move that up one step in the scale, at which point it becomes the seventh and you arrive at the next chord. So C major 7. See there, the root that moves up to D. We've now got E minor 7. The root is now the top note. That's going to move up to F. So we get G7. And you can see that we've got a tritone there in the top shape and a perfect fourth at the bottom, which is the root and fifth of the chord. So the G string is, the G, which is the root, is now on the D string. That's going to move up to A. And we get B minor 7 flat 5, which of course is chord 7. So we get one stretchy chord every fourth chord, which then resolves itself with the B there, the root, moving up to C. So D minor 7. D is now the bottom note, that's going to move up to E. So we've got F major 7, seventh at the bottom, root at the top, 2/4 voicing. The F being the top note, and the root is going to move up to G. That's now A minor 7, so chord 6. And you can see we've got a voicing of a fourth at the bottom and a fifth at the top. When the A itself here, the root, moves up to B, we're now going to have the voicing of 2/5. So you've got the root and fifth at the top, the third and seventh at the bottom, and then the semitone between the seventh and the root there. That stretch and that slightly dissonant voicing resolves itself with the C moving up to D, and we're now there. And the E is the bottom note, and that's the root, that's going to move up to F. So we've got G7 again, we've got the tritone at the bottom, root and fifth, there's a fourth on top, and then the top note, G, moves to A. So we've got B minor 7 flat 5 again, chord 7, and the tritone at the bottom, there's the root, there's the fifth, there's the third, there's the seventh. The B there, the root, is going to move up to C, and we've got D minor 7 in the 2/5 voicing. The D there is going to move up to E. Now it's F major 7 in the sort of more standard voicing we all know, which is the fifth at the bottom, root fifth, and the seventh and third flip round into a fourth there. That means the bottom note is the F, that's the root, that's going to move up to G. Now it's A minor 7 in 2/4 voicing. The A is the top note, that's the root of the chord, that's going to move to B. So now we get C major 7 again. Right, C, the root, is under my third finger on the D string. Oh yeah, by the way, fourth at the bottom, fifth at the top. That moves up to there. There's E minor 7 as 2/5 again. Where are we? So E is going to move just a semitone to F, which is only there. I'll do that and do a bar chord. G7 again. Root and fifth at the bottom has a fifth. Tritone at the top. Where are we? G, the bottom note, is going to move up to A, and we get this voicing. B minor 7 flat 5 again. Okay. Tritone at the top. There's the root. There's the fifth. There's the seventh and third. Okay, lovely. The B moves up to C. That becomes D minor 7. Fourth at the bottom, fifth at the top. That's the root. That's the fifth. There's the third. There's the seventh. The D there on the D string is going to move up to E. We end up with a 2/5 voicing again, and that is now F major 7. Groovy. And then it's the F. That's going to move up to G. Of course, there we go. A minor 7th. Root and fifth at the bottom, seventh and third as a fourth in the top. Now we move the A up to B. That becomes C major 7 again. Okay. Move the C up to D. Now E minor 7. Okay, and then we're going to move the E up to F, G7. Lovely. G up to A, it becomes B minor 7 flat 5. Try to the bottom, fourth in at the top, and the B moves up to C, D minor 7. Okay, lovely. D top note moves up to E, so we've now got F major 7, fourth at the bottom, fifth at the top. Move that F there under my third finger up to G. It's now A minor 7. And then the final step, returning us back to where we started, is the A moving up to B, and there we go. That's a bit cramped up there. Because you're in P4, you can jump ship and change the string set anywhere along, but it's worth doing it all in one string set just to see how it works. Right, so we're going to make the return journey. We're going to start on chord 1 again, but this time, every time we move a note down, it's going to move the chord overall down a third step. So we're going to go from chord 1 to chord 6, to chord 4, chord 2, 7, 5, 3, back to the 1. And we're going to start on the fourth voicing, the most common one we generally know. And there we go, C major 7. So in this case, what we need to do is move the 7th down one step in the scale, and that becomes the root of the new chord. So here's the B, so that's B is going to move down to A. So we get A minor 7th, 2/5. Then the G now, up there, is the 7th, that's going to drop one step in the scale to F, is now F major 7, like so. And then the 7th is the top note. We've got a 4th, 5th voicing here, so the E there is going to drop down to D. So we're now on chord 2, and that's D minor 7. The 7th is the bottom note here. This is the upside down voicing, root on top, 7th at the bottom. The B is going to drop. Sorry, the C is going to drop to B, and it's now B minor 7 flat 5, chord 7 of the key. Now the 7th is the A there, and that's going to drop to G. And we get G7, chord 5, tritone at the bottom, root and 5th at the top. Lovely. And of course the 7th is the note that's poking out there, that's forming the tritone, poking out both physically and sonically. So we resolve that tritone by moving the F down a semitone to 2E, and that becomes the root of E minor 7. And we've got a 4th, 5th voicing, groovy. And then we're going to move the 7th again, which is the D up there, and that's going to drop to C. So now C major 7th in the 2/4 voicing. Like so, we've come one cycle round. You carry that on all the way down till you get back to where you started. There you have it. Right, the next thing to do is the cycle of fifths. If you've done the previous cycle of thirds properly, you've already done this in a sense, because cycle of fifths is just missing every other note, every other chord out, because 2 steps of a third gives you the movement of a fifth. So instead of going chord 1, 3, 5, we're just going to skip 3 out and go from 1 to 5, and so on. So we start on chord 1, we've got C major 7 there. And instead of one note of the chord moving one step in the scale, 2 are going to move simultaneously. In this case, it's the root and the third. So the root is the bottom note of this voicing, and the third is the top. So that gets us moving C to D, and then E to F, which turns it into G7 in that voicing. Okay, so they're the top and bottom. Next up is going to be chord 5, moving to chord 2. Here, the third and the root, which are always the notes that are going to move, are the middle voices here in the G and the B. And they're going to move up a step, and the bottom and top notes are going to stay where they are. So B moves to C, G moves to A, and you get that voicing. Okay. From there, it's now chord 2 to chord 6, so that's the bottom and the top voices moving up, and you get this, A minor 7. Now, we're on chord 6 there, so we're going to go up to A minor, so it's back to the middle two voices moving up, like that, E minor 7. There are we, so we're now on chord 3. We're going to move up to chord 7, the minor 7 flat 5, or half diminished, and that's going to be top and bottom again. So E moves to F at the bottom, G moves to A at the top. Okay, here we're back to moving the middle two voices, and we're going to go up to chord 4, so that's F major 7, so that's the B and the D, and they're just going to move up to C and an E, like so. And you just carry on in a similar vein. There's a chart there, but the best thing to do is think through the process. As always, think about the note names that you're moving, their function in the chord, whether the root, the third, fifth, whatever, and think about the actual voice leading. Right, for the return journey, we're going to descend in movements of a fifth. So we're going to start on chord 2 here, in the 2/4 voicing. And in this movement, the 7th and the 5th drop. So for instance, here we've got C and A, the bottom and the sort of second from the top voicing, and they're going to drop a step each to become G7. So C moved to a B, A moved to G. And now we're in a 2/5 shape. Admittedly, one of these is the tritone, but it's still 5-step scale-wise. Okay, so that's chord 5. And then we're going to move to chord 1. So again, there's the 7th. And that's going to move, that's going to drop down to the E, and then that moves down to C. 5th goes there. Right, so we're now in C7th in 2/5 voicing. That's chord 1. So 1's going to drop, we're going to drop down to chord 4. I have to think about that. And here the B is going to move down to A, and the G is going to move down to F. That gives us this voicing, which is the 2/5 configuration. And then we're moving from chord 4 down to chord 7. So the E is going to move to D, the E is going to move to B, and we get this. So that's a 2/4 voicing, F to B, and Right, cool. That's chord 7, and then we're going to drop another 5th to chord 3, E minor. So the A is going to move down to G, the F is going to move to E, and that gives us this E minor 7th in 2/5 voicing. We're going to get ourselves to A minor. That's going to be 2/4 voicing. So D goes to C, B goes to A. That becomes that, like so. And then we're going to go down to chord 2. That means we're going to drop the G to F and the E to D, and we get the 2/5 voicing like this. Okay. And then we're dropping, so it's going to be chord 5 now. So C goes to B, A goes to G. We end up with that lovely inversion of G7. And we're going to drop again another 5th, landing on chord 1. So that becomes this 2/5 voicing, like that. So chord 1 drops again another 5th to become chord 4. major 7 there. Cool. And then F's going to drop to chord 7. It's going to be B minor 7 flat 5. There we are, 2/5 again. 7 drops to oh my god, my brain's gone at this point. 7 to 2. There we are. And we could do another drop of 5th to the 2/5 voicing of A minor 7. Even like that. Or you can get off at C major 7. That's a particularly lovely sounding voicing or progression to play with. Here are the 2-5-1 options, assuming you're not jumping around the neck and using the nearest available voicing to the previous one. So I can start on that D minor 7th again here, and then to G7 right there, and then C major 7. And then the next step down gives me D minor 7 like that, G7, C major 7, okay. And then I can do D minor 7th again like this, G7 like this, and C major 7 like that, and then like so. Okay, so we're going to take the cycle of thirds and add in the available chromatic passing chords. So once again, starting on chord 1. And if you remember, we take the root of the chord and move it up 1 step. Well, that would take C to D, but we can do C sharp, and that would give us C sharp minor 7 flat 5. And then we take that up to D, to the diatonic chord, E minor 7. Now E's at the top, E would go straight to F, so there's no chromatic chord available, it's just going to go straight to G7. Okay, with the G now, the root of the chord can move up to G sharp rather than going straight to A, and that gives us G sharp diminished 7th. Then we can carry on up to the A as we would expect, so that's B minor 7 flat 5. The root is now the B, B to C is a semitone, so straight to D minor 7. Great stuff. Okay, then the root is D down the bottom there. Well, D would be going to E, but we can do the E flat as a passing. That gives us F7. The E flat would then carry on to the E, F major 7. The F, the top there, that would be going to G, but we can do the F sharp. F sharp minor 7 flat 5, carrying on to G, which gives us A minor 7, and then the A is now the root there, that can go up to B flat, gives us C7, and of course up a bit further and we're back to C major 7. And you just want to carry on through the next set of 2 groups of 7. Okay, so same idea, descending. I'm going to start up here on the top 4 strings with C major 7th again, and work our way down. So C major 7, Here, of course, we move the 7th down one step. Moving diatonically, that would go to A, but we can do the B flat in between. It gives us C7. And then drop into A for A minor 7. Groovy. Right, 7th is now the G there. That can drop to to F sharp. So we get F sharp minor 7 flat 5. That will drop again to F, becoming F major 7. And then the 7th is now the top note, the E. That can drop to E flat. So we've got F7. Cool. That can drop to the next diatonic chord, D minor 7. The 7th is the C at the bottom there. That can drop the semitone in key diatonically to B. And that will give us B minor 7 flat 5. Okay. The A is now the 7th there, and that can drop to A flat. So this is the enharmonic equivalent of the G sharp diminished 7th chord we've got previously on the way up. So, you know, that can be named after any one of the 4 notes of the chord, but generally in this key we tend to think of it as G sharp diminished 7th, but because we're descending A flat makes more sense. So yeah. Then that note can drop again to the G, so it's chord 5, again, back to a diatonic chord. There's the tritone, that F needs to resolve itself, that's the 7th, it's going to go down to E, so no in-between chord now, so straight to chord 3, E minor 7. D flat at the top there is the 7th, so that's going to go there, down to, from D to D flat. So E minor 7 flat 5. And then finally, that will resolve itself down to C, and we're back to C major 7th, chord 1. And once again, you've got the 3 cycles of 7, so you can carry on doing the same thing, and you're going to get all those chords again in all their different inversions, and get a feel for how they can flow from one to another and join up. So here's a cool little chord flow practice idea. Take the top note of the chord and think about what other chords can surround it, as it were. So that can either be the root of a chord, the 3rd, the 5th, the 7th. And you basically go through the options. So I'm going to start on it being the 5th, so that gives us A minor 7. Then if it's the 3rd, it's C major 7. If it's the root, it's E minor 7. If it's the 7th, it's F major 7. And you can work your way up. Like that. Or you can pick one of those, say it's the 3rd, and do a scale going up that way. So this is all the same inversion. Good. Like so, or maybe